First of all, best wishes for celebrating International Day for Conservation of Mangrove Ecosystem. I thank Dr. Sonia and GEC for the opportunity to share our work. Uh, basically, I consider myself a development worker, not an expert on mangroves or thing. For us, mangroves are a means as well as end, both. Let me present what we have been doing since last 4.5 decades, 47 years. And in this, we have been engaged with two issues, climate change and poverty. And I will take you through some slides and present what has been the journey. And as part of that, mangroves have been one of the major initiatives which has led to our work. Our Vikas Center for Development was established in 1978, January, when I was 26. Basically, our mission is to combat climate change through community-led initiatives aimed at addressing the twin issues of ecological imbalance and abject poverty of coastal communities. That includes agricultural laborers, small and marginal farmers, fishermen and salt producers, and charcoal makers. Why coast? If you look at Gujarat and Gujarat's geography, the coast is extremely important from economic and ecological point of view. We have the highest, as we all know, is the highest coastline of 1600 kilometers. Around 25% of Gujaratis live along the coast, and another 25% must be dependent on that coast. Coast is facing serious challenges from the ecological point of view. We all know there is a soil erosion is a major issue, salinity increase, and now we have storm surges and cyclones. The number of cyclones frequency is increasing, and along with that, that is impacting particularly the marginalized communities along the coast. On the other hand, we have 42 ports along the coast and huge infrastructure projects and initiatives coming up. A lot of our industrial establishments are along the coast because after all, we are very important state in terms of export-driven economy of the state and the country. We as an organization got the opportunity to work in one of the coastal talukas, one of the most backward coastal talukas in 1978. That time government of Gujarat had decided to sort of carry out block level plan for full employment. And I was fortunate to get opportunity to lead a team along with Dr. Indira Ben Hirve to work on block level plan for Jambusar Taluka, Bharuch district. And it is here that I learned the basic, the understanding that poverty and degeneration of natural resources are interlinked. We found out the prevalence of 3,000 families trapped in abject poverty and degradation of natural resources and borrowing money from moneylenders because they have to survive. This is largely because of degeneration of natural resources in the coastal taluka, where uneven rains and droughts and frequent floods at the same time. Salinity was increasing in land and water, and people were pursuing low investment, low return agriculture, animal husbandry, and fisheries. Since they cannot meet at two ends because they were earning only 120 days in a year and only 1.5 rupee per day as an income. Since they cannot meet two ends, they had to borrow money at 10% per month. Since they cannot repay, they have to get bonded. So Vikas in 1978 decided we will try and help some of these families to come out of abject poverty by regenerating natural resources. For first 15 years, We spent time in mobilizing these communities that included agricultural laborers and small and marginal farmers. And it all happened here in Jambusar block. And our approach was to initiate and strengthen organizations of the poor, help them access unutilized common property resources, develop those natural resources like wasteland, mangrove forest, and others in partnership with them such that it generates short-term employment, medium-term income, and long-term improvement of quality of natural resources. Nurture group of micro enterprises linked with regeneration of natural resources, increase their access to technology, institutional credit, and markets. So this has been our journey for the last 47 years. In 1978 to 92, we mobilized these communities and requested government to give us wastelands, surplus agriculture land, and village ponds. We were fortunate that 1400 acres of wastelands was transferred to 440 families in 9 cooperative societies. 1500 acres of surplus agriculture land was transferred up to 600 families. 21 village ponds were transferred to the community organization for fishing. About 250 crore rupees worth of assets were transferred by the state common property resources to extremely poor people. This is historical in the sense there was no major upheaval except that people got united, aggregated, asserted their request, and government was also happy to sort of transfer some of these resources for future development. Why we do all this? Because we believe that natural resource degradation leads to reduced livelihood opportunities, leading to poverty. What we all have to do is to regenerate natural resources, enhance livelihood opportunities, and poverty elimination. This is the construct of our work. After receiving these assets in 94-95, we started developing wastelands through government as well as private resources. We converted some of the wastelands into productive lands, village ponds into fishery ponds. It is during this period, in 1999, that we discovered that fishermen along the coast of Jambusar were losing their livelihood. And one of the reasons why we realized was that degradation and depletion of mangroves along the coast. It is during that year we approached Gujarat Ecology Commission. Late Sri Ashmukh Shah was the chairperson, and it was so nice for us to have somebody like him who was sympathetic and empathetic to the whole cause. And he suggested that we should have a very comprehensive mangrove regeneration project along the coast of Gujarat. That's where I met Hasmukh Bhai and several colleagues, including Somnath Bandyopadhyay, Amrish Patel, Mehta, and others. And it is during this period we evolved a program called REMAG, Regeneration of Mangroves, which was basically sort of ambitious to cover 5,000 hectares of mangroves along the coast of Gujarat. It was decided that we will take it up in different parts of Gujarat, and different NGOs will get involved into this, because we wanted to convert mangroves as a movement and not a project. We wanted, it's a community-led mangrove regeneration processes. So it is here the foundation of community-led mangrove regeneration process was established. And Gujarat Ecology Commission, and particularly Sri Hasmukh Shah, was responsible for giving the direction and motivation for implementing such a program. We were fortunate to work in Jambusar and South Gujarat. Over a period of 2000 to 2015, Vikas and associate organization Save Limited carried out 2,000 hectares of mangroves, about 6 million mangrove plants, about 326,000 person days of jobs were created in 8 villages, and funds came from Gujarat Ecology Commission and industries. The Gujarat Ecology Commission funds were India-Canada Environment Facility and Government of Gujarat. The second phase was in 2016 and 18. We approached an industry and we said we would like to go beyond mangroves because we were looking at biodiversity. And we created a 1 kilometer long, multi-layer, multi-species plantation in Tankari village in Jambusar Taluka, along with a water pond and others. And we had towards seaside mangroves. Then we had Salvadora, then we had Sueda, and then we had fodder. The idea was to create multi-species, multi-layer plantation as a pilot to see that if we can go beyond mangroves and have a biodiversity along the coast. After successful implementation until 2018, we approached Gujarat State and Department of Climate Change and requested funds to carry out the same multi-layer plantation activity in 300 hectare covering 15-kilometer long belt in Jambusar Taluka, where multi-layer, multi-species plantation was carried out. It was during 2019 and 21, and this was funded by Department of Climate Change, Government of Gujarat. After this, around 22, 23, Good Carbon, a climate finance company from Germany, approached us. And that is where the whole vision of Great Green Wall of Gujarat was articulated. We were funded to carry out a baseline survey of all the villages along the coast of Gujarat. We visited 250 coastal villages, 25 talukas in 11 districts, and identified 58 plots measuring about 20,000 hectares, technically viable for mangrove regeneration. And socially, where villagers were also interested, because we got technical feasibility done as well as social feasibility, because unless and until local people are involved and are interested in this, there is no point doing mangroves just like that. The project envisages 20,000 hectares of coverage, 12,000 hectares as mangroves and associates about 8,000. It has a 30-year plan. First year is always for pre-plantation activities, where we prepare communities for the plantation activity. Second phase is plantation between second and fourth year, and post-plantation livelihood. Now, this sequence was designed as it is also addressing the economic needs of the local people as well as the ecological needs of the. So we are actually integrating economic and ecological development of the coastal area. 147 plots, 42 villages. This is how the whole thing. Environmental impact would be 160,000 tons of CO2 sequestered, 48 lakh tons in total for over a period of 30 years, reduction in soil erosion and salinity, protection against sea level rise, and biodiversity enhancement. Apart from generating carbon credit, we were envisaging that 50% of the revenue of the carbon finance, revenue from the carbon finance, will go back to the communities. This was the condition that we had put to the people who were financing this. And employment generation would be to the tune of 24,71,000 percentages. Following this, since the framework for the climate finance, carbon finance is not ready in the Indian context, we started implementing part of the program. We're having 3 phases. First year, as I mentioned, pre-plantation, 2 to 4 year plantation, and 5 to 10 years post-plantation. We are implementing this in Jambusar, Hasot, Halol, in the South Gujarat in Surat, and Khambat. And the process that we followed is pre-plantation. We started with formation of bioshield committees, where 70% of the members are women, 2 youth and 2 Panchayati Raj institution members. We carried out awareness about climate change awareness and other kind of activities, where we actually developed snake and ladder game for climate change, explaining climate change. We also had village level of development activities where 10% to 15% contribution comes from the community as a trial. And then we created capacity building training programs, how to form nursery, how to plant trees, all that on a pilot basis, and created a micro plan for the next phase of plantation. 80% of the money goes into the labor. Women from the marginalized communities participate in this. All our finances or our labor wage labor is transferred to the banks directly in the account of the women or the people who provide labor. Therefore, they get included into the bank's system, and increased fish catch and increased farmland, improved farmland. Recently, we carried out a GIS-based documentation of all our work of last 25 years. And we found out that we have done about 2,880 hectare, 75 lakh mangrove saplings have been planted. 62-kilometer long coastline has been covered. 4 lakh percentage of jobs have been created. And all this with the cost of around 11 crore. At present, we are working in Jambusar, post-plantation livelihood. We have already covered about 41 kilometers along the coast of Jambusar Taluka, and we are right now working in 12 coastal villages to work on livelihood. So various livelihood activities are being developed on agriculture, animal husbandry, and fishery. We believe that the green assets that we have created in Jambusar, we have to follow it up with creating green jobs and enterprises so that people will manage and maintain the mangrove assets that we have created. According to us, here we have come a full circle. We started with bonded laborers. We have now come back through developing mangrove plantation, and now we are again looking at creating livelihood and enterprise of the poor people who can be part of the mainstream economy. These are the SDGs that we cover. I'll be happy to show a short film if that. This was covered by COP. No, I don't think it comes. I don't think you can see that. Okay, thank you.
Rajesh sir, thank you. Can you hear us now? There is an issue at Rajesh sir end regarding the audio.
I can't hear you.
Yeah. Sir, you can
Sonia,
stop sharing.
Sonia.
You can stop sharing your screens.
Sonia. Sonia.
Yes, sir.
Sonia,
Yes,
can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear
You can
Rajesh.
call him and communicate
Yes,
with him.
yes, yes.
Other can hear and you can talk to him on
Yes,
phone.
yes, yes. Hello.
I can't hear.
The first thing you should stop sharing the screen.
Sorry?
Stop sharing the screen.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah. And we will put the thing in the chat box. Okay, and you can speak. You can continue. We all can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And thank you all, everyone who joined us because of this audio issue. Please put all your question into the chat box. Rajesh sir will be able to answer through that. All right. Anyone having any questions? Am I audible? Yes. Thank you.
Of the local people. They draw their livelihood out of it, they draw their fuel out of it, water out of it. So it has to be linked with the local people. It is the question is how we implement this program. It is not whether we should do it or not. Even if the mangroves are done, mangrove plantation is done, it should be done led by the community. In my opinion, the victims of climate change have to be the warriors of the climate change. They have to be involved. They have to be leading the entire process. Therefore, anybody who gets engaged into doing mangrove plantation work has to be sensitive enough to involve the local people. And in this also, I would qualify marginalized communities and among them women, because by nature, women give birth to a child, they nurture the child and sustain it. Similarly, they will sustain the green assets. Therefore, women have to lead the entire process. My opinion, I mean, our experience, 70 to 80% of our workforce is women in the entire plantation activity. By now, we, as I said, 4 lakh person days have been generated. 80% of has gone to the women in the villages. Well, how do we shift the people or how do we motivate communities? Well, we have to have a credibility there uh, in terms of spending time. Relationships are built by time, any relationship. And here we have to build a relationship with the communities. So we begin with women folks in the village. We also talk to the panchayats. We try and tell them that this is important activity. We try and invest efforts and resources in telling them in a simple terms what the climate change is and what impact it has been doing on the lives and livelihood of the local people, and that we have to do this, we should be doing this, and we try and sort of develop this committee and strengthen it. After creating that institution, the road is little easier because then the implementation starts and resources start flowing. We have to be very transparent. We have to be very honest. And in terms of transactional, financial transactions, we are very transparent and we keep it. The transfer of money takes place in their bank accounts straight. And therefore, we build credibility with the communities. And now in these villages, we are looking at post-plantation livelihood in form of agriculture, animal husbandry, and fisheries. We are trying to create value chains which will enhance their productivity and profitability. So we have, it's a long drawn process. We haven't found difficulty in getting people to work on this. Sure, we would be very happy to invite anybody to work with us to document. We have a very comprehensive document. I will share that with this thing. This has been done through GIS system. We have taken satellite images and analyzed and put our work sites. We have found about 60% of our plantation has become dense by now. Some of them are sparse, and carbon investment, carbon sequestration has been with a huge quantity. We are right now also interested in carrying out ecological value and economic value of these assets, and also socio-economic impact of the work that we have done. I think what is the research areas are basically the socio-economic impact on the people, particularly the livelihood of the local poor people. A lot of geographical changes are taking place now. And I think that is an interesting area of seeing how things happen. beneath, under mangroves, as well as the other behind the mangrove plantation. What kind of changes are taking place, both ecologically and economically? That would be an area of interest. We would like to do this. We would like to look at it. We are actually working on ecotourism, honeybee keeping, agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry. Yes, as far as we have been documenting the incomes that are going into the villages. We help people form self-help groups, and we have found that people are now, some of them have saved money and come out of the debt and have started their own livelihood. The examples are few, but I think they point a very interesting pattern. So mangroves initially give 80% of the money of plantation goes into labor, because there is only very few resources go into material, because there is no material otherwise except the plastic bags that we have. And we are now trying to find out even alternative to that plastic bag, how we can really replace that. I think the impact of this generation of employment, and after that, subsequently, what people do with those money. Some of the people, when we were talking while evaluating or listening to their stories, they say that we are now eating 2 times a day with a full plate. I think our efforts are worth it when people can at least fill their belly. So it has been a very employment generative, labor intensive activity. Now we are looking at how we can actually see go and beyond plantation and see what kind of livelihoods we can create. And the bioshield, the multi-layer, can provide several, like medicinal plants, fruit trees, many other things can be done in these areas, fodder banks. So many opportunities are now emerging. So when the green assets are created, ecology and economy both will improve. I invite anybody to come and visit us. We will be very happy to receive you. And also, if there is any opportunity to work together, we will be very happy. Right now, we have not looked at any ecological services, but if someone is interested in looking at it and identifying, we are going to do the impact study soon now. Yes, I told you that when I last year, only last year and a half, I was talking to some of the women there in the field, and their stories, if you hear, how much it has changed their lives, particularly in a short time. And I tell you, the feeling that I get is that it's very humbling. I think we are very fortunate that we got this opportunity to change and impact our life and their lives. So it has remained with us for a long time. Toughest moment has been when some of our plantation last year was completely washed out because of the sea action in Khambat. 1400 hectare was washed out, and we were planting every time, preparing nurseries. It was all gone. It was all gone in front of our eyes. So that is something which was very disturbing, very heartbreaking. But to be able to plant, I mean, lead the team to plant 75 lakh mangrove plants itself is a very satisfying feeling. Well, what kept me going is anger. I am an angry man, and I don't think this work can be done without an anger, which I have converted into passion and combined that with creativity and enterprise, belonging to an entrepreneurial community, Shahs, Baniyas. So I have converted my anger into an expression of green asset. So that kept me going, and definitely my team and my family. I don't think we would have been able to do this without the help of entire team and the communities who saw the same dream that we have also seen. This is a collective dream of about 1,500 families in the coastal area, about 40-50 workers and the team members of Vikas, and of course my family. We can share some of the stories and anecdotes of the things. We are making small videos of that for larger circulation, because I think now there is sufficient material to be able to share. Uh, what is IAP? I won't under. I'm not a very technical man. So one is IAP, and then no, we are not doing monoculture. I mean, we are doing now multi-layer plantation to create a biodiversity. And we would like to carry out a biodiversity study of the areas that we have worked with to be able to find out what changes have taken place. Sure, we would be happy to share anything with anybody on this. This has been done with the public resources and it should be available to all. And as I said, everybody is welcome to see what we have done and also contribute in whatever way you can. We are open to joint research, joint documentation, and others. For me, another 3 years and I will be completing 50 years in this work. It would be the time to salute and go.
Anyone else is having any questions, please put in the chat box. Rajesh here is having gem of a knowledge and experience. If you want to ask anything related to the, the challenges you can face at the ground level. So you can put all those questions if you are into socio-economical studies, and definitely if you are into some scientific technical studies, you can definitely put the questions into the chat box. And we should all, celebrate the spirit of Rajesh sir, that in spite of this technical issue, at the end, he is still there for all of us. So let's make the most of this moment. So I request everyone to put the questions into the chat box. If not the questions, then please put the praises Rajesh for us, like even at this age.
We are looking at in a short time. In a short time, the impact has been in terms of employment generation and number of plant survival and growth. The growth has been good, and the document I will share, Dr. Tejal, the work that we have done. I will share that with Dr. Sonia, and she can subsequently share with others. We will be happy to have a wider circulation of that. Secondly, if there are any, as I said earlier, we would like to have a ecological valuation of the mangrove plantation done by us, about 3,000 hectares, as well as what are the long-term changes that are taking place, because some of the plantation is about 15 years, 20 years old. So now things have begun to show different kind of things. I will give you an example. I mean, the agriculture that was happening behind the mangrove plantation has now expanded. The kind of growth of the plants, of the agriculture crops and all that have also improved a lot. Now those changes are being seen in terms of salinity reduction and others. We have data in terms of land and water samples, but we have not been able to sort of find opportunity to sort of evaluate the progression of that. So we would like to now take up those impact studies on these things. A lot of visual documentation happened, and we were fortunate to get visibility in COP 28 and 29. So that has also created enough interest. Right now, we are supported also by a number of CSR, under CSR companies, and also government, wherever possible. But I think what is important is now to have a very positive legal framework from the government, so that more and more people can get engaged into building the green wall that we have, because it's not one organization, one individual. That is what is important. What is important is that we have large scale community driven mangrove plantation initiatives across Gujarat state. And we would be happy to share all our experience and expertise, whatever we have in this. We have tried to simplify the processes. For another 3 years, we will be doing 400 to 500 hectare every year. So we will be adding to this stock of mangrove plantation.
All right. If any questions, please raise up the hand, put it into the chat box. Yes.
We have experienced algae, green algae in Kutch and other areas, Saurashtra, but not in this area. Our major work has been around South Gujarat, starting from Khambat to Surat. So along that area, we face problem of soil erosion. But algae and others we have experienced in Kutch as well as in Saurashtra, where we were doing something in Jamnagar before Tatas. That's when we faced serious challenges with an Aga Khan rural support program. Also, we did some work with them, and they were also facing the same problem of algae that was coming there. By the way, we also dabbled into seaweed cultivation, both in Kori Creek as well as in Jamnagar. So wherever mangroves don't grow, we would like to work on seaweed, because that is another area which interests us, because I think it is a major source of livelihood for fishermen who are facing challenges in the in wake of pollution in the sea by the industry waste, which is taking away fish from them. So if we can get them into alternative livelihood, and we are trying to work with Central Salt Marine Chemical Research Institute on this.
Any further questions? If not, we can, wind up the webinar. And I request everyone, please switch on your cameras for the group photograph. Again, if possible, I request everyone, please switch on your cameras for a group photograph. We are sharing this room, we are sharing this moment, so let us capture that. And definitely it will be used on, will be used for our social media platforms. The recording of this will be definitely available on our YouTube channel. So if possible, please switch on the cameras for a group photograph, because this also helps us in giving the certifications. If not any more questions, then I request everyone to switch on the cameras. Or any other words, anything you want to convey to Rajesh sir, and definitely we should salute his spirit that, in spite of this issue, technical issue, he still stood for us. So let us have an applaud for us in the chat box. Let him know that we really, loved the sharing, whatever the experiences he shared and the knowledge he shared. At least we can appreciate that. Thank you. So I don't know how to put it that. I don't know how to. I'll definitely let Rajesh sir know about this thing. To call him and to tell him that on the behalf of GES again, thank you so much everyone for joining us. And we will be again conducting a new webinar in the coming month, the link of which will be shared again to all of you who registered and who are also part of the GES community. As we all can see, Rajesh sir has given his, it's humbling. So he might respond. He is able to respond to all of your messages. So thank you so much for all of you also to be being here for, such long time and bearing with this issue. Somebody wants email ID. So let me tell you, this is not a room for a personal chat. So Mahyar and Umar Mustaq, I request you to both of you to please connect offline. And with that, we are ending today's webinar. Thank you so much for being there